in the world. So anything. I'll talk about anything at all. No. I'm going to have to turn my heat back on here. Sorry, I turned it off because I have like a vent right there. Literally right in front of me. And it makes quite a noise. But I'm starting to realize now my PC also makes a bit of a noise when it's going. So, I don't know. Screw it. Well, I'm just lonely, so I'll usually go on chatting and be, but that's sad. What makes you lonely? We can talk about that. Why are you lonely? I'm here, so you're not lonely. So I'm a real guy who you're having a conversation with, but or is it chronic loneliness, or is it just today? Because I get that way. Except this is the first day I've had alone in feels like weeks. And before that, it's been like months because I have 2 kids and been primary caregiver while my wife goes out and works her hands to the bones. But it's not pathetic. I mean, how much more pathetic are me am I than you comparatively, sitting here broadcasting to no one? I don't think that's pathetic. You're a human being striving for connection. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's beautiful, actually. You're making an attempt. Like saying, I'm lonely. Let me try to fix it. I give you props there, man. I've been in spots like that where I'm content to wallow in my own sadness and my own loneliness. At least you tried. Right, I think it's pretty commendable of you. So, head up. I have friends. Oh, that's rough. It's rough. Thousands of miles away. Is it, because again, I'm good with, we don't need to share any big personal things. Anonymity on the internet is pretty great. I don't have that right now. Obviously, I'm putting my face and my name out here, but I respect that. So you don't have to give away too much, but is it a temporary reason that you're 1,000 miles away, or is it permanent? Like, are you permanently sort of removed from your center, from the center of your world? Because if it's a temporary thing, I'm good. Glad you don't book. I am for the most part too. But friends close to thousands of miles away, and that's especially if you're in a different country, which is hard. But I can't, because it could be I'm in the East Coast of the U.S., so West Coast of the U.S. is 1,600 miles, right? Something like that, coast to coast. I have no idea. I'm shitty with measurements, but my fucked up arm. Military. And if I do get stationed back at home, I'm too busy to spend time with people I'm close to. Okay. You don't need to get, I don't want to ask too much, but, so tell me more in the Discord if you'd like. But do you enjoy the military? You like what you do? Is it, because I'll tell you this, I'll give you like a personal kind of way I can relate to military service. So again, I never served, but my grandfather, both my grandfathers did. Like there's a history in my family of it. And I remember but not like hardcore combat stuff. My family, they were like engineers and mechanics and stuff. But I remember one point, again, I'm not a guy who would do well in the military. And I know that. I understand that. But I thought about it when I was younger, going into the Navy, because I was just directionless. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I remember talking to my dad about, let's go to a recruiter, let's go to the Navy. And he's like, Alex, let me tell you something. He's like, you want to join the military right now because you want to run away from home. And I get that. He was like, you don't want to, you're not looking to stick the middle fingers up at us and say, fuck you, I'm leaving forever. He was like, but dude, you want to run away from home. You want to leave home. And he's like, let me tell you something. You're going to enjoy it for the first 2 or 3 months. And then you're going to realize you want to come back home. And then you'll further realize that you can't because they own your asses for another 3.5 years. He was like, think about that. Like, you're not running away. Like, you were going to give your life to an organization that will control pretty much every aspect of your life. You're in it. So I'm not trying to be like, it's this evil, all controlling corporation. But I understood what he meant. He's like, it's very all consuming. And he talked me out of it by saying, like, look, dude, you're going to want to come home. He's like, I know you. You're going to want to come home and you'll realize that you can't. And he was right. And I'm glad I never joined. It's not conducive to just how I am, my learning. But that's just my only, like, that's my experience with it. Let me read some of the chats from the military. And it's good that you enjoy what you do. I've always been a loader and just do well by myself, but sometimes I just want to talk. Brother, or sister, I totally get that. I totally get that. It's kind of why I do this or why I podcast. It's because I love talking. I just love talking to people. I think you like, again, you don't like being alone, but you just like some solitude. And I get that so much because solitude is great when you just have you to think about and you to worry about and you to manage the feelings of. Managing the feelings of others could be stressful, even though it's not always necessary. We try to manage the feelings of others too much, myself included. Thinking that, like, we're a burden or an annoyance or shouldn't be around. Like, we do that so much, and then when you're by yourself and you don't have to worry about those things, there's like a big weight taken off of you. If we would just take that weight off of ourselves, that whole, oh, I bother people, or we'd all be a lot happier. And the people who do that, I admire them very much. But I can appreciate you want to be a loner, but you reached out and talked to me, and hey, I'll always talk back because there's no one else here, and there very rarely is. So yeah, that's good. Twitch is an interesting place for conversations between strangers, and I don't know, even like chats. Because I realize there's also like a chat meta. Because occasionally I have two lovely mods, Captain Nom and Lawman, very wildly different. I think Captain Nom thinks it's adorable too, because it's like Captain Nom's obviously like older than Lawman, and Lawman it's sometimes difficult to understand what he's typing because he's a Belgian native typing in his second language. So like again, theirs is very wholesome. Like the back and forth that they have is very just two different people united under a love of watching yours truly, but also being a part of my keeping my community safe. I get a kick out of that. So I get that. Just wanted to talk. Just wanting to know that another person is here. Actually, I was reading in my history textbook the other day after listening to a lecture from my professor. They were talking about cave paintings and like hand tracing and what that comes from, and it comes from that natural human instinct to just be like, I was here, and I want you to know that I was here, person who is coming after me. I was here. Acknowledge that I was here. So let's just see what you got here. I definitely enjoy my job. Most of the time it's too stressful to have my kind. Says I'm in charge of other people's health 20%. Yeah. Let's see. I enjoy my job. Most of the time it's too stressful to have. True. Another one is when you're, and I'm taking it, you're in healthcare, or just care. I understand that. I was an EMT for a bit. 4 years of my life I was an EMT. I was even in paramedic school, but kind of briefly. I really didn't get to the program, but I was taking the prereqs and stuff. College by my house has a really good paramedic program. The community college by my house fucking rules. I'm actually shy. I go to Anne Arundel Community College. They're awesome. Like, college is, when people say college is a scam, it's not. It's the tuition's a scam. Like, what it costs is a real fucking scam. But AACC, man, I'll give them some credit for being really, and I pay out of pocket. And I live if you live in the county and pay out of pocket, it's pretty damn affordable, all things considered. So this is my advertisement for the college I go to, but it's pretty great. But yeah, being in charge of people's health is just, here's how you can, giving advice on things like this is always like, it's weird because you can't tell someone who's living through it what to do. And you can only imagine, because for me, and somebody told me this, Oh, that'll be interesting, dude. It's fun as hell. If you join a volunteer fire department, they train you up for free. You get to go ride around, feel like a hero. Oh God, it's so cool. Riding the wee woo up and down the street. It's cool. It's really cool. It's really, really, really cool, and it's free, and everyone could do it. So, if you ever get the inkling, that's one of those things that's attainable. That's as attainable as literally doing what I'm doing here. I wanted to be a radio host. Radio station weren't going to hire me because I wasn't going to college for that nonsense. So look at me now. You can't stop me. I'm broadcasting to you. I'm in your face. I'm in your mind. But yeah, it's incredibly attainable. Just go do it. If you want to be a firefighter, you don't have to be hired. Go volunteer. It's great to get paid. It's great to be a career firefighter, but you don't have to. You don't have to. If you want to do it in your time, and to a point, your time, because remember this though, if you ever want to get into volunteer, I'll share a combat medic. Yeah, it's basically the same shit. Except you get to do the cool shit. You get to ride, dude. Riding in the rig is the real fun part. The wee down the street with the shit. That's like the fun that you don't get as a combat medic. You gotta run and under fire and all that. You gotta deal with that bullshit and stress. When you're an EMT, man, you're just kicking back in the wee woo, waiting to get to the catastrophe. And it's awesome. It's awesome. I loved that so much. That is a power trip. Being in and I've never driven. I didn't take my emergency vehicle operator course, my EVOC, but I did. I'd always ride. I was the patient care tech, and I was a full second. Like I didn't have to have anybody in there with me. I would be the only person in the back caring for the patient, and I'd be the navigator. You know, essentially like sitting in the officer's seat. That was just fun. Flipping through the map book and sirens going. You're slamming the horn and it's everything that you could imagine that would be. I feel like you see me smiling thinking about it. Like it's still fun. I would never do it again. I'm done. I am out, and I never want to go back. But that's just for me. It's just I did enough. I burned myself out. You know, I've ran enough EMT calls for a lifetime. Right, mystery phone. That's right, mystery phone. Yeah, dude, if you're a combat medic, go take your EMTB. You could also score a job as a private ambulance provider. That's easy. That's just picking up people from the hospital and taking them to the other hospitals. That was a sweet gig. You don't get paid super great, but especially if you get your paramedic license, because you're a medic. You know how to start as a beer anyway. City loved it. Yeah, it's fun. And I'm assuming, and this is a dumb question, but I'm still going to ask it. As a combat medic, you know how to start lines and stuff, right? Like you can actually run like medications. That's like the biggest. And I'm sure you've used like thumper boards. I'm sure you know how to use it. Heart monitors. You're pretty much ready made. Like you got to go just take your state's EMT class, which is about 160 hours. It takes a little time, but it's worth it, and it's so much fun. Like the culture of a fire department, it goes up and down. It all depends on the firehouse you're at. I think there are some. And this was I left the fire department in 2011. So I have 2012. General care physician? Hell yeah, we need you. We need you. And whether you're an American or not, whether your world needs doctors, because the health care systems across the world are getting pummeled right now, and there's people quitting left and right with good reason. Because we clapped it up for them for a couple of months there, and then now, you know, half the people are motherfucking doctors when they go and see them. So I commend that. It's one kind of the reason why I wanted to get into teaching, which is what I'm in college for now, almost 30. I'm not from the U.S. I'm from France. Okay, cool. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to do that's less of a fresh accent. That's like more of a Quebec accent. No, but that's great. I've always wanted to visit France. So neat. And yeah, I don't know how it works. I don't know how your volunteer system works there, but like here in the U.S., like you could be a volunteer EMT, or you could be some stations are like half career or half volunteer. Where I live in the United States, I live on the East Coast, just outside of Baltimore. So that's cool. Um, English is great, but I guess it's, and you know what I do notice when somebody who doesn't, so in certain places, right? Like Lawman, sorry, brother, you don't count because I don't know what fucking language they speak in Belgium. I don't know what they're teaching you all up there with English. But like I've noticed in non-English speaking countries, when they do typing, like non-English speaking countries where English is still pretty prevalent, online the sentence, because your sentences are very like, that's why I thought you weren't real at first. They're very well like typed out and structured. And I notice a lot of people who use English as their first language when they're online, they're essentially using leet speak. Like it's almost like another language. It's like a deep slang, and you have very like well thought, like well written paragraphs that are actually pretty easy to read. And I've been noticing that. It's kind of the fun part about Twitch. Is like, where's someone from? Because I knew you weren't from the U.S. I could tell. I was like, from somewhere else. But I think that's super cool, and I love sharing our culture too. Because contrary to what some people say, America's not some broken hellscape. I mean, it sucks, but everywhere sucks. The world sucks right now. So our healthcare, the healthcare. I could go every American you talk to them about healthcare because they can go on for a long fucking time. So. No Rona, I promise. Even though everyone around me has it. Look at that, giving me freaking facts. Belgium actually has 3 official languages: German, Dutch, and French. So it depends where you're from in Belgium. That's interesting. One of my mods here, the OG mod, Lawman. He's from Belgium, so I'll talk to him about that. It's very interesting because I think it's pretty cool that he probably knows all that, and then he knows English. And if you, hopefully, I hope you stay around. I hope I see more of you. I hope you hang out in our. I may have posted the Discord. If I haven't, I'll do it again. Oh yeah, it's up top there. I'll do it one time though. Hope you join. I hope you come back. Really, we have a nice little community here. And I also do like requests. If you want to see a certain game reviewed or played, when I have more time and I'm a little more light on my college work, I'll be doing it. So, but yeah, that's pretty righteous. That's pretty cool. I like to. That's one of the coolest things I think about Twitch is being watched. I've been a performer all my life, and I've performed for the locals mainly, just people in my country. So yeah, English is my 3rd language, so I may kind of suck at times. Says the guy I could go through all of your writing here, and it's immaculate. Like it's structured well. You know? Yeah. It's actually pretty excellent. I'm not even gonna add like an all things considered there. Like, nah, your English is pretty excellent from what I'm looking at. I'm jealous. I could speak just one language. A bit of Spanish. Spanish would be the one I'd want to do next, but I don't have much of an attention span, so I worry about that. This was going to be something else, this podcast, but it's not. And it's because a super cool guy called JC the King is here. So this could be a much more like smorgasbordy one, but I'm still going to cut it up into something fun. And eventually, I'm looking forward to doing the next stream on so maybe this is one you'll know a little bit more about. I've recently got into rally car racing I played this game called Art of Rally, which is amazing. And then I started playing this game called Dirt Rally 2.0, which is even more amazing. So I know that's that's a European thing, especially France. Like one of my favorite stages is the French stages in Dirt Rally. So if you know anything about that, we can talk. And what? Thank you. I learned my English in the UK. The sentence structure is still the same. English is English. When you're speaking it, absolutely. When you're speaking, like, you want to talk about listen to a Scottish person talk, which I can understand the average Scottish person because my grandmother was from Scotland, and she had the most Frankenstein of accents you could probably ever have. She lived in Scotland up until her early 20s, and then she immigrated to the U.S. to New Jersey. So I want you to try to imagine a Scottish woman with not only a Scottish accent, but a New Jersey accent. She had both. And the funniest story from that comes from my wife one time. It was at my aunt's wedding. And it was one of the first times my wife, my then girlfriend, and she's my wife, met my grandmother. Like, my grandma just kind of turned over the side and went, I think she was, no, it wasn't at the wedding. It was at her house later, but it was like during the wedding stuff. She said, oh, did you eat? I'm trying to do it like, did you eat? So what she's saying is, did you eat? Or did you guys eat? Simply put, in kind of Jersey, is, did you eat? Use. Use is a slang term for you guys. Yeah, saying petrol or pronouncing Z as Zed. Yeah, it's one that throws me off a lot whenever I hear someone be like, again, just like throw out Zed. Like, nah, it's Z. It's Z. Or like someone would be like, I'm trying to think. Like, there's like a Z and a suffix, and it was like Project Z. And someone said, I heard a British reviewer go, Project Z. And I'm just like, oh, no, stop. It's so British. But yeah, slang is a weird one. In the United States, I'm sure like anywhere else, but like slang is very broken up into regions, big time. Han is one that's big near me. Like, what's going on, Han? Near Baltimore. Everyone calls water water. Washing, wash. Like, just. But yeah, the slang is rough. But it is very like, the slang on the East Coast of the United States is wildly different than the slang on the West Coast. And there's obviously things that are shared, but like, again, things like dude and like, that's not really slang anymore. That's kind of like assimilated into regular language. If you really want to like break down modern slang that like these Zennials are doing, like, I don't understand it, but I can understand that there's a big difference between regions. Yeah, slang's wild. Slang is wild. All right, spending time in the U.S. Where'd you spend time out in the U.S.? I'm curious. I'm sure you could tell me because you don't live there. I want to know what you saw. What do you think? I'm curious, Mr. France, because again, I'm not defensive of my country. I will point out all of its flaws. Just because I like living here, that doesn't mean I don't think we're deeply flawed, deeply flawed as a nation in so many ways. So many ways. It sucks that we have this. It almost seems like now you either have two halves. You have these groups of people who are like, yeah, fuck this country. It sucks. I want to watch it, and I want to watch the empire burn. And then you have the other half where it's just like, no, this is the greatest civilization ever raised, and you should, which is not true. You believe what you want there. It's just the fact. The facts. The facts speak for themselves there in terms of like relative to the time you were around. No, not even close to being the greatest civilization. No. Let's see. New York, Washington, D.C. D.C. makes sense. Pensacola. Yeah, Florida sucks. It's muggy and hot bullshit. And I guess the only people like living in Florida are people who just had to deal with like snow their whole lives and cold, and they get to the first place that has warm weather. And like, this is great. Because you don't know real good weather until you've been to San Diego, California. And thank you for following CGE999. Say hello if you'd like. We're just